It's strange how seldom we connect things with what we normally recognize just because they're in a different form. For instance, that liquid isn't soup, jam, or even paint. So let's throw some light on the subject and tell you first we're at a candle-making factory in Battersea, London, where at this stage of the process, liquid wax is poured into a water-cooled mould and then ejected later as a rack of elegant Venetian candles for the dinner table. Actually, because of the invention of electricity, and more recently fluorescent and neon lighting, people tend to think that candles are merely something from the past. And yet, of course, the distinctive qualities of the candle, its warm glow and serenity, for example, will always ensure a steady flow from the production line. Note that the shapes are formed over one long wick, which is then cut to separate them from the next batch. The emphasis today is naturally on ornamental candles of all shapes and colors. Yet at various times they had other practical uses, such as in auctions by candle in the 17th century. While it's said that Alfred the Great had time-keeping candles, each with 12 divisions marked on it. So there was no excuse whatsoever for burning those cakes. Even more attractive are the slender type specially made to enhance flower arrangements. You'll notice later that these burn at an angle so that the wax never drips. Craftsmanship is very much in evidence these days. Here, a giant candle is not being washed, but being given an added coating of paraffin wax, itself a development of the last century. Until then, there were two main types of candle, tallow and, more expensive, beeswax. Tallow must have been pretty primitive and even stank to high heaven, but at least it had the advantage of being edible if you suddenly felt hungry. With these Chinese mandarin candles, the relief effect is obtained by dipping them in colored wax and then wiping to bring out the two-color pattern. Here's a simple little trick of the trade, which just goes to show how simple these processes are, when you know how. They're first dipped in colored wax and given a second bath and twirl around until the crest of the spiral is left clean of color. These delightful finished exhibits prove conclusively, if we wanted proof, that any arguments about candles being a thing of the past are just not worth a light.